have tornado sirens where everybody would recognize it, that sort of thing. I know in many communities they do have the reverse 911 in which they're reaching out to people, but obviously this is something that's been in the media all day today, continues to be, and at the very least people look outside and are going to see very severe weather is coming their way. So we would expect a few people are really going to be caught by surprise as this event unfolds during the afternoon.
Yeah, Peter, we were getting reports, and you mentioned that they are not, we don't have a full handle on the damage yet, but we are hearing from Westfield, from Springfield, and again in the Connecticut River Valley on 91 that these funnel clouds have touched down. Out of curiosity, because we don't have these sirens, because municipalities do deal with this differently, how do you try to stay ahead of this weather as it moves at 40 miles an hour?
Well, just as, we're talking right now, also we're reaching out to various communities in the path of this storm so that they can, kick in whatever their outreach is within their community. But as I said, in a fast-moving event like this, we rely an awful lot on, the media, the conventional media, to get the word out there and to warn folks.
And is there something that you do that kicks into gear when you see a storm this size and potentially this dangerous and damaging? Is there something that MEMA does to put your people in place to make sure that the local municipalities have what they need to deal with whatever it is they're up against?
Well, not yet at this point, because this is not like a hurricane where you've got a few days to pre-position equipment or personnel. This is something one has to respond to at the drop of a hat, so to speak. So in that regard, our major concern right now is to making sure that the folks out there are aware of what's happening and getting themselves in a safe place and getting themselves out of harm's way as the storm moves through.
Peter, how do you know tonight when you're out in the clear?
When the evening's over. I mean, the watch or warnings will remain up, the last I've seen, at least through 8 o'clock throughout the state. But it'll become pretty self-evident. I mean, this is a line of storms at this point. And once it moves through the area, obviously we want folks to continue to monitor the media, make sure there's not something sneaking up right behind it. But it usually becomes pretty self-evident. And even if we get into the evening hours, we don't want people to have a false sense of courage because, they haven't had an issue in their neighborhood. We want folks to stay, in a home, in a safe place until this event unfolds.
All right, Peter Judge speaking to us from the Massachusetts Emergencies Management Agency. We know it's a busy night. Peter, thanks for calling in.
On the phone with us now, Peter, thanks. Ray Weber's on the phone with us now. He's with our Skywarn network, and, we've had 2 reports now, and both of them, according to Peter Judge there, that have not been confirmed, but some of the Sky Network and some of the spotters out there say they have seen circulation, they've seen the tornado drop down, and they've seen it touch down. That's the confirmation you need, is that it actually touches the ground for it to be considered a tornado.
We're actually hearing from Springfield that they had damage.
Right. Springfield and also Westfield, they had somebody out at the airport there saying that they saw one touchdown as well. We're trying to get Ray Weber on the phone with us. He's a part of that network I was talking about who actually saw the tornado touchdown in Springfield. Let me just, do we have him on the phone? Is he ready to go? Not yet.
We should mention, too, that even if your community is not under this tornado warning, that we do have a tornado watch in effect tonight through much of Massachusetts, and some very severe weather. We're talking about wind, rain, lightning, hail, as Todd mentioned, of 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Some very severe conditions out there tonight. So no matter where you are, be aware that this will be a factor for much of the evening.
That's great advice. Especially, we always give the warnings for folks to take cover when they're in the path of the tornado. But it's not necessarily that. It's the periphery as well. There can be damage. There can be winds. And this is the first pictures we're now getting from Springfield. We apologize for the bouncing around, but that's the wind that's going on there. And there has been reports now of damage in Springfield because of a tornado that touched down. Ray Weber, are you with us on the phone now?
I sure am.
Appreciate you taking the time. Why don't you walk us through what you saw this afternoon and what's going on up there now?
Well, a short time ago, we did get that report from Westfield of a potential tornado touchdown, and I was working in downtown Springfield, right, and it appeared that that was going to be the direction that the activity was going in. So I headed outside our office building, looked west, and I was able to visualize the wall cloud in rotation. And as it got a little bit closer, I actually observed it appeared it was hitting the ground, but I couldn't see the bottom of it because of some buildings. And all of a sudden, a whole bunch of debris rose up and with heavy, heavy rotation. So it looks like it originated on the West Springfield side of the river, and I'm actually there right now trying to get a view and see what it hit, because that's where the debris came from, the West Springfield side of the river initially. and it crossed over into downtown Springfield, I guess Wilcox Street, they tell me. I couldn't really tell, but was within a half a mile of me to the south, and did get some video of it. It appears it struck something on Main Street in West Springfield near where I live, and I'm attempting to get down there now to get an idea of what it struck and get some pictures for the Weather Service.
Well, it looks like, Ray, from the picture that we're seeing right now, and granted, it is bouncing around quite a bit because of the wind in that area, but it looks like we've got some trees that are snapped, and it also looks like this is a mixed residential area with some businesses. Does that sound right?
Yes, the West Springfield is both residential and business, and where it hit in Springfield is just south of Monarch Place, and that also is an area where there's both residences and businesses as well. I'm pretty sure it destroyed something in the West Springfield side, though, with all the debris I saw come flying out of it. There's a tremendous amount of debris that came up, and I immediately identified it was on the ground.
And you can see, and here's the part that really kind of scares a lot of folks, especially Todd, when he's putting out the warning, telling people to take cover. It looks like right there's a truck on its side. You got a lot of people in what looks like a shopping area. It's probably a bad time of the day with folks getting off work and trying to head home, and then you get reports of a tornado. Some of these folks maybe don't even have an idea that this is happening because they haven't turned on the radio or they're not listening to the news, and perhaps they get caught completely off guard.
Oh yes, this was not your typical little small tornado. This did some serious damage from what we can assume here. We're trying to get a good look, but of course they're trying to block all the roads off here.
Yeah, as a weather spotter, I would imagine you see an awful lot out there, and you're paying attention to this. When you looked out and saw that cloud, give us an idea first what it looked like, how big it was. You know, from your standpoint, what could you see?
Well, the wall cloud was rotating, but it's just a tremendous whirl, and I've got some police here I've got to talk to, so I have to hold on a second, okay?
No, go do your
problem.
thing, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
I have to... Where are you going?
We're just showing these pictures here of what's happening in Springfield. The reports of two tornadoes that have touched down. And again, we're still waiting for confirmation, but we already have the debris to tell you about. But in Springfield, you can see that this is a pretty populated area. You've got commercial, you've got residential, and the streets in some areas looked as though that are now blocked, and they've got some issues with trees. And Todd, I understand you've got more information about what's happening in this particular area here?
Yeah, we can pop the radar back up. That would be great. You know, with that confirmation and seeing that type of video with that type of damage, this is a major, major, major situation, a very dangerous situation. This is where the storm is right now. I'm going to step out so I can get back into chroma. Am I back in yet? All right, good. Right here. It's sitting right over Hamden. Okay, if you're in the path of this, you got to get indoors and get to the basement right now. You just saw those pictures out of Western Mass, out of the Springfield area. That means business. This is a well-defined hook echo. There is a tornado on the ground, and it's causing devastating damage out there. You just saw the pictures, okay? It's sitting right over Hampton. Next up, Munson, South Munson. Next up, Munson. Heads up in South Bridge and in Holland, Mass. Holland, Mass. It looks like right now this is about a mile north of the border with Connecticut. You live close to there, get into your building, get into your house, get down into the basement, get around that foundation, get in that foundation. This is a very dangerous situation. You just saw the pictures out of Springfield. Massive, massive destruction from this tornado. Massive destruction. You saw that shopping plaza. It's a very dangerous situation. If you're in Holland, Mass, you know, the first town right there on the border, as you cross over from Connecticut into Massachusetts, if this thing holds together, it looks like it would go through you in Holland, okay? Southbridge, you would be up next, all right? Southbridge, you would be up next. I don't know if it's hard to tell where the circulation is on this one. If we could pop back over to what we had earlier, because I think it was down in here. Here we go, right in here. I guess we have some picture coming out of Western Mass there in the Springfield area.
Yeah, we do. We got some videotape. Okay. This is from our affiliate in Springfield.
Look at that debris.
And you can see the circulation, the debris that is flying around. And this is a sizable... I mean, you can see it doesn't look as though it's well-formed or well-defined. Yeah. But you can clearly see the circulation covering a very big area.
Absolutely. And you can clearly see the debris. And, you know, it's funny, when that cell crossed over, you know, that debris was seen on radar. It was seen on radar. It's hard to get a grasp, a perspective on how wide that is. It looks like perhaps quarter mile, Maybe half mile. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it could be bigger than that.
It's hard to say. If it's bigger than that, then we've got some major issues.
But I guess is there one nice part about this, or I guess one comforting part is that we don't see a well-defined tornado, because that's really like a surgeon's scalpel that just cuts through an area. That looks like it's just it's not as well formed as what we would see.
Well, you know, it's tough to compare these tornadoes with ones that we see every other day that are out in Oklahoma, out in Arkansas. We've seen pictures for the last few weeks with all the severe weather outbreaks they've had. It doesn't look like that all the time around here.
Right.
It's not as clear cut as that. There's clearly debris flying around the circulation here, the vortex there. There's clearly debris flying. You can see big chunks of, whether it is shingles, maybe even parts of homes, parts of buildings. You know, the path of destruction that we saw when we were talking to the spotter out there in Westfield and Springfield, you could see homes were taken off. It looked like to me their foundations.
You know, and not to kind of stop you, but just to be cautious here, that also could be just debris that was on the street. You know, it could be anything from trash coming out of dumpsters that's flying around. We just don't know at this point. So just we know that these things are clearly could be very dangerous. They can be very destructive. But again, for confirmation of what kind of damage has been done, we don't know quite yet.
I just got something right here, Jonathan. Multiple building collapses on Maple Street in Springfield. Multiple building collapses on Maple Street in Springfield, Massachusetts. That can't be good. This is a very dangerous storm. Tornado warning in place for the Springfield metro area. Here are some pictures that we got from one of our affiliates out in Springfield, WWLP. And you can see a tractor trailer, a semi on its side on that bridge right there, probably a bridge that crosses the Connecticut River. We already had confirmation of the tornado on the ground when it crossed the Connecticut River. So we got that semi on the ground. We also had some pictures earlier from a neighborhood in that area that looked like it took on massive damage. And right there's an ambulance trying to get across that bridge.